dominating the North American scene for so long.
That's right.
We're still, you know, trying to figure out. Right now, Chronogenesis and SKYSAMA are on the top of the points list. Right? We're trying to figure out who it is, if it's not Jay-Z, or if Jay-Z's going to come from kind of out of nowhere, right? Get himself into the top 8 and win the regional
He's slowly
finals.
eking himself up. I mean, he will breach into the top 8, I believe.
And once you get him in that scenario where he's playing against a much smaller field of players,
against an expected metagame.
Shines, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly where he shines. I mean, we saw that in Worlds. I mean, he took 3rd place in Worlds. You know what I mean? Like, he knows what he's doing. These open brackets are tough. I'm not going to put it past anyone to show that they're not as consistent as we would have thought they were because we're in flux. I mean, card changes happen, rotation just happened. We're playing Take 2, we're playing Unlimited. We're throwing everything at them. You know what I mean?
And sometimes it's even tough in these tournaments. Some of your early opponents, or maybe even some of your later opponents, they could just be bringing things that are totally unexpected, right? Just because they like to play that.
Yeah, maybe you just haven't played, you know, one of these matchups and you ban it to give yourself not as favorable as you would have liked a matchup. You're like, I wanted to ban this deck, but I've never played against this, or I'm not comfortable with my lineup against this. Yeah, it gets tough. Burn Rune versus Sword. I don't know if Sword can really handle this matchup because the boards that we see or have seen that Sword puts up, Burn Rune can kind of just eat through with the right draw.
Yeah. So just as we noticed, SKYSAMA did ban Sword, which means he says to deviate, hey, try playing aggressive into me.
Yep.
We'll see how that works.
Interesting. Apprentice Alchemist here, a new flavor. That one, of course, being a 2/2 when it comes into play. You Earthright, and if you do, you get one of those Guardian Golems, those nifty wards.
Yeah. Not one we see too commonly in this Burn Rune deck, but lots of pressure coming on the side of SKYSAMA. His board state is pretty healthy.
That's right, and we do not see any big board clears yet. That was a really nice option to draw this turn.
As the Evolution Orb as well.
This could be a turn for Apprentice Alchemist and Guardian Golem as well if he chooses that route. Saving the burn damage for face instead of using it to clear board here.
And I think that's smart. You need to be very good at looking into the future and figuring out how much burn damage you need.
It's a lot easier in Unlimited because you do have Dance of Deaths back with the Oz, which I think probably some of my favorite card combinations. Like, there's nothing more pleasing or satisfying, and I might catch a lot of flack for this, than playing Wizardess of Oz into something like triple Dance of Death on your opponent's board. It feels so great.
Yeah, Wizardess of Oz has kind of proven to be a very good supporting card to the Burn Rune deck.
It's really interesting to not see it in any other builds. Like, we haven't seen it just tested in anything. Like, we may see it as like a one of Indare here and there, but it hasn't really taken over any other strategies yet. And it's not like it's Earthright defined, you know what I mean? There's not anything specific about it that makes it do that.
It's cards without spell boost, right?
Yeah.
Or Oz.
I mean, it's any card without spell boost. You can do anything. You can have neutral spells. You can do whatever you want with it. It's just, this is the archetype that people have felt most comfortable with it. Just haven't seen a lot of experimentation outside of it yet.
Albert coming down early. Wow. Has to go for the trade with it. That never feels good.
No, it does not. Ooh, and Grand Summoning. Waiting in the wings. That's a huge tempo push, especially against a deck like Swordcraft.
It feels very strong in rotation, especially because of the whole lack of kind of wide board removal. Grand Summoning can often just be the thing that loses you the game over the next few turns just because you cannot deal with it efficiently.
Yep. And I'm still surprised to see Magic Illusionist in Burn Rune. So like before it would have been the preeminent option for all of these early turns, but now it's just kind of eating up space in the hand. And you don't want to play it because then it will take care of your Earth Sigil, which then you can't play your Grand Summoning. So it just feels like a really awkward card in the deck nowadays.
Yeah, it definitely feels like an Earthright Eater, as opposed to something that's advancing your game plan.
Also, it gets traded with by everything now. Like I said, I feel like it's a vestige. It's really hard to get rid of the card because it was the best card in the deck. But I think it's going to have to happen sooner than later. Granted, Deviate might, win this tournament with Magic Illusionist in his deck, but that doesn't mean that card attributed it to his wins,
Yeah. Trades out.
Gonna go for the Grand Summoning tempo play here. I love this against Sword.
So The wards will help protect the Wizardess a little bit, but there is the possibility that Deviate loses out on a Dance of Death and a Piercing Rune.
It's true. And there is a Sword of Flame, or a Shield of Flame in hand. So we'll just see what SKYSAMA wants to do this turn. I mean, leaving up all of the other board, which he's going to do, it looks like, is pretty rough, but...
Has a rush, can take care of the 1-2 only. Doesn't get the enhance effect off Arthur, which would be super good if it did.
Yeah. If you got enhance effects, I mean, come on. Come on. Way too good. He's probably going to evolve over this ward as well, yep. Further pumping the Bladed Hedgehog, the menace.
Yeah, it's going to be really painful just because of the Dance of Death there. Was not quite able to reach the Oz, so these spells will continue to be very efficient.
Yeah, and this is bone-breaking tempo. Like, when you can Wizardess protect with a Grand Summoning into casting more spells the next turn and still have a Wizardess left in your hand, like, this is how you offload as many cards as possible and deal tons of damage in the process.
Yep. Still has a Silent Laboratory, and now I would just throw out the Magic Illusionist just because you want to get cards out of your hand, right?
Yep, and then just pushing for as much face damage with this one, and then has a redraw with the Oz next turn. This is looking really good for Deviate.
Now, Alweda's is here, but do you even have enough damage to get rid of this Oz at this point? You lost your board, no evolution orbs. The Oz got evolved.
Yeah, this is just tough. I mean, if you ever stop even just to, like, destroy the Oz, you know what I mean? I felt like that play should have been a possibility last turn just because of the advantage it could have gained. And we just saw how backbreaking it was to not get rid of it. Wow. Yeah, this is just Levy, Evo, even Crimson Sorcery face this turn.
Would definitely do that.
Get it out of hand.
Save all the play points possible.
And it's not like you're sending that burn spell to not face. So, let's do it now. It's not a secret.
2 health remaining on SKYSAMA.
Oh, wow. That's a bold move.
I guess he says, hey, try to add 5 more defense on things. All these cards have to be removed, right?
Right, that's fair.
And the Magic Illusionist has a sigil. So he says, I don't need these spells to win. I just want as large a board as possible.
Even with the redraw of the Halo Golem, even if there was some kind of a play like Lancer of the Tempest into like a removal spell or something like that, the Halo Golem would have been there. Well, technically, the Magic Illusionist would have survived all that as well. So yeah, there's nothing that Swordcraft can do against this particular board, unfortunately.
Yep, and that will close things out. Deviate will get the first win. Burn Rune is still continuing to demonstrate why it's so strong, and this time off the back of Grand Summoning, which I think has been a very, very key card in the deck. Burn Rune, we often talk about the balance between... wow, is he just going to pass it? Oh, he swung. I thought he was going to pass it and have the rats do it.
2 BM, all right.
Yeah.
All right, they're friends, you know.
We talked about how Burn Rune... A lot of it is that balance between followers on board doing damage to face, then allowing your Burn Rune to finish out the job, right? And I think with the advent of Grand Summoning, it continues to extend that plan beyond what was just offered from Magic Illusionist.
Well, just the fact that you can tempo protect Wizardess of Oz and basically save more spells for following turns instead of just unloading every single turn that you play Wizardess. Huge effect, especially if you can't deal with the Wizardess immediately. SKYSAMA did have an answer for it, could have dealt with it immediately, but chose not to, and then we just saw it snowball after that.
All right. Well, it's down to 1 deck left for Deviate, and this is probably the deck that is the most affected by the deck building of SKYSAMA, right?
Absolutely.
Burn Rune, I feel like, can get away in certain matchups just because it has so much unmitigatable damage. But
we've seen Aggro Forestcraft be, like, pretty good, but not, like, insane like I thought it was going to be. It could be the particular builds that they're choosing to run just aren't as fast as possible. Like, Insect Lord isn't an aggro card, right? It's not a card that's pushing a lot of damage. It's more of a tech card, a situational card. But, I mean, it does have powerful cards, and we do see 2 Hyperias in the hand for Deviate right now, so he definitely has a big way to push through damage. However, Hyperia is a little bit less good against Sword because they do have access to a lot of wards.
Yeah. I think Hyperia would typically be a very good turn 5, turn 6 play. So much damage coming down the way, but the fact that there's a White Paladin and Mars and a Roundtable Assembly to probably pull more White Paladins means that DV8's game plan is going to be put on hold very, very soon. And unless I feel like there's any kind of spell removal, you know, bounce, airbound barrage, or Wood of Brambles or something like that, I don't really see a way that DV8's going to be able to cleanly enough deal with the boards that are going to be coming down, especially going second. SKYSAMA has even more evolution orbs to spend to generate tokens.
That's right. It's interesting that he chose to play Lancer last turn instead of Mars. Mars is kind of like a ward in the fact that if you don't deal with it, then there could be a White Paladin next turn, and then you just get too much value out of it. Wants to save the Marses, though, which is interesting. Also, getting Lancer out of your hand or Kahulin out of your hand before Wood of Brambles comes down is also a pretty good option. Wow, just decides to hold here.
Gonna pass it over. Yeah, floating 4 play points is...
It's pretty rough. And yeah, I don't know. Without playing the Mars last turn, his play this turn, it could just be a White Paladin. It's not a bad play by any means.
But he could have gotten so much more mileage out of this evolution orb, right?
Yeah.
There it is. Flooding the board, taking down a fairy.
And SKYSAMA is praying no Wood of Brambles.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So you can play this and the Insect Lord. And then Elf Song.
Yep.
And then that also gives you possibly a big turn to play Double Fairy, Ancient Elf. Just get more stats.
And I like this play. This is going to run into a 1-1 and give the Insect Lord a better chance to get one of the bigger followers.
One time. Oh,
nice.
My gosh.
Sniped the exact one that he wanted, and now he gets advantage into this. I think he probably... Yeah. No, actually, he did that in the best mathematical way. He could have technically traded his other 1/1 fairy in first to guarantee a better hit, but then wouldn't have gotten as much mileage out of the...
Oh, here it is. This is where it starts to get real bad, right? And you have more Marses to throw in there.
So that's how it's done.
Ooh, with the taunt.
Just threw down the gauntlet.
The taunt.
Continue the board trade here. Still so many wars, and this is kind of what we're talking about, right? Turn after turn, SKYSAMA demands kind of efficient and good answers to what DV8 is trying to do.
This is just rough. Like I honestly don't know what specifically aggro sword, you know, the ones that aren't playing EPMs, Elven Princess Mage or Fortune Hunter Finas, and trying to go this like great late game. Even those would have a hard time with this. The aggro force though, like it literally just trades so well with everything that they're trying to do.
Just has the... He really, really, really wants some way to just ping out that White Paladin.
It won't be long now.
Got to clear as much as he can here.
So sparkly.
His Hyperion is still just stuck in hand. Not really the thing you want to do against just a board full of wards.
Has 2 more Marses left. Has a lot of options, actually.
Lancer of the Tempest next turn is going to be pretty huge if anything gets left over.
You and I, Knight.
Luminous is going to be the choice.
Brings hope. It all ends here.
Evolving to save board.
There's just so many ways that SKYSAMA can approach whatever happens in these next few turns.
Yeah, the Mars are kind of eating up space right now. They don't really get too much use at this point, but Lancer of the Tempest is pretty big, and he still does have that Albert for a big push. That Wood of Brambles, little late.
Yeah, too late. Would have loved to see you a moment ago.
Has to take out this Luminous Knight every time. Sorry, the Mage, not the Knight. Because if it stays in play, for those of you unfamiliar with the card, it will continue to gain that extra free evolution orb on commanders every single turn.
Yeah, every time you play the Arthur there. Oh, God.
Gets the ward. Every time gets that ward. So good. It's so good.
It's interesting because I feel like by the time you get to this point in the game, you kind of know what your opportunities are with Arthur, right? Because you've played out a lot of your early turn followers.
It's still interesting to me to see Lux in these style of decks because I feel like Lux is possibly the worst 2-drop or less that you could see. But I guess they feel like it gives them enough of the card draw that they want in their deck to be a little bit more consistent, which I can't hate on.
What's really interesting about this play is the double Wood of Brambles means that there's only 2 cards on the table that can swing into the Aperia here. Because the Lux will just get eliminated, the Knight will get eliminated. It's just the Bladed Hedgehog and Arthur, and both of them are going to trade.
And you've got to. Got to mitigate this damage. This is basically the big push that Deviate has. I mean, you know, he can draw Roach later in this game to possibly deal some damage, but right now these Hyperias are the pressing business.
Man, the double Wood of Brambles is actually so strong. I almost also am thinking if you just, on next turn, swing with that one Hyperia and then Ancient Elf and put it down again, I guess you do open yourself up to Albert, and there's still an Evolve Orb.
I like this way. Good, so this opens up to 5 more damage.
Needs to clear board here, at least until there's not 3 damage left.
He's probably just going to have to attack with the Hyperia, play the Ancient Elf, and yeah, I mean, I think he's got to hope for not Albert, honestly. I think he's just going to go for the Hyperia face, play Ancient Elf. No, he's gonna worry about it. Okay. Never mind, he's just going to hope to top deck instead then. My thought was he was going to play an Ancient Elf and then replay the Hyperia just to give him a chance to win in 2 turns. And just like saying, you know what, if you have Albert, you beat me.
Play the Elf again. Right side. Okay.
In this play, he's basically going all in.
Yeah. So this Albert can come down and do a ton of damage. Well, I guess he needs to play the Albert to clear board.
Yeah, Albert to clear board. But again, he's left with more options in hand, right? He still has access to Frontline Cavalier. He still has access to Alwitas. Still has access to Mars to do some cool shenanigans with the Alwitas. I think this is just going to be lights out for Deviate here. I don't know how you can deal 15 with a lone fairy in your hand.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough. 10 health remaining and a hand not very conducive to anything.
Nope.
SKYSAMA, this is exactly what he intended. The big question to me is what can his Swordcraft deck do, or rather his Runecraft deck do against Agroforest?
That is a question. Do we know what SKYSAMA's Runecraft deck is yet?
I am not sure, but we could probably check.
Could check. I'm not sure if we saw it in the last match or not. I forgot already. My mind, I'm getting old.
In the last match, we saw Control Blood. His Control Blood.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
That's right. So we haven't not seen it yet. And here we go. They're going fast.
They're going straight in.
They're ready
know
to,
what's
they're
up.
ready to go.
DV8 versus SKYSAMA here in the losers' quarters. So SKYSAMA has to win this if he wants to continue his journey here. DV8 is fighting
for his first chance. Yeah. At a win here. DV8 definitely deserves it. He's definitely a player that's been around for a while, and it is looking like a Daria deck. Could still be a Dimension Shift deck.
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly. I've seen crazier things.
Piercing Rune is a little bit, and we just get the
I've played Dimension Shift. Okay. All right.
There it
fine.
is. People have been finding Daria real quick these days.
So he's playing Mid-Sword, Control Blood, and Daria.
Rune.
It's an interesting mix of decks for this type of tournament.
I mean, we've seen Daria fail, I think, easy.
Yeah, I think we got word. He likes his name pronounced Easy E.
Easy E.
Yeah.
That's right. Easy E.
Easy E.
Well, thank you for that piece of information.
Yes, thank you. I figured if we
Easy E.
highlighted it enough in different ways, he'd finally get back to us.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Double Ogler before Daria.
Ooh.
And has to draw more. And the blade. Oh.
Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes.
Clunky.
Super clunky, and this elf song is not so clunky. It's sitting in the hand of Deviate here. This is going to be a very good turn, especially if it's just a Piercing Rune this turn, which I think it's going to be.
I'm gonna rest for a bit.
That's it. That's your turn.
Okay. Okay, he is going to expend. He is going to expend to clear board here. This is a great play.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great play.
You need to find some value out of those cards.
Yep.
Never getting them back.
I like it. Is Elfchild May going to find her man? Is the question.
Yeah. Elfchild May always finds her man.
Because that's the best play. It's Elfchild and get the lucky flip into Elf Song and to evolve over the Ogler. Is it possible? Can she do it? She's got those red devil eyes, you know? She's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like they can lock onto you and pierce your soul.
Got him! Oh, God!
Got him!
Wow. Wow.
And this is not, I mean, there's another Elf Song in hand, so there's a nice push coming turn after turn from Deviate here. But SKYSAMA does have threats and ways to deal with a lot of this board, so it's not like he's threatened too much right now.
I think it needs to be the Ogler Evolve, right?
Yeah, Ogler Evolve's a good play here. You can take out 2 followers, save a lot of defense on that Ogler, and then you still have Daria on backup. You also have this Golem Assault, which is another decent play here. Maybe forgoing the Piercing Rune this turn? I don't like
You
it.
can still Ogler Piercing Rune because of the spell boost.
Oh, right. Okay. So basically just setting up the orb for next turn. I like that.
There it is, and Piercing Rune on 4-1. Leaving the 2-2, but there's still 3 fairies plus the Elf Song could come down here.
Definitely coming down. Well, Goblin now, because Goblin
got
that
the extra defense.
That's right.
His big nose is accounted for.
That's true. When you bonk that guy in the face, like every once in a while you're gonna hit him in the nose. He's not gonna care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Evolve, I imagine, going face here.
Yep. This is a nice push.
But this is it, right? I mean, look at Deviate's hand. I guess if you just happens on a Fairy Driver.
Yeah,
but
Fairy Driver can help. I mean, Roach can help. There are ways to keep this momentum going. That's kind of like the tale of aggro Forest Craft, though. It's like you are actually playing no card draw outside of maybe Nature's Guidance. Like and you're putting a bunch of fairies into your hand. You got to be able to draw something at some point. But sometimes you just brick. Sometimes you just draw more 1/1s.
Wow, goes for the trade on the Blade Mage.
I like it. Just be as defensive as possible. Set up that ward.
He's got double Piercing Rune and the Mysterious Knowledge.
Oh, wow!
I cannot believe.
I don't know if using it this turn was correct, though, because he's not going to be able to push for lethal this turn.
Yeah, and it's still very awkward. They don't reach 3 damage, right?
Right. Is he just going to board trade this turn, then? I don't know if you can afford to do that either.
It's very tempting, but...
There you go. All right, well, once this board's done, I mean, Deviate's going to have to top deck another Fairy Driver to continue the momentum. I mean, if he does it, good on him.
Double Piercing Rune every day of the week.
I do want to say, after watching Deviate play a few times with his aggressive decks, I do feel like he plays a little too safe with his aggressive decks. I think he doesn't go for the... I'm just going to potentially win over the course of the next couple turns, by the way I set up my cards. I'm just going to play what is the most advantageous to the board right now.
Yeah, looking forward is a big one. Just plays a Chimera. Is not worried about, and is not worried about that Blade Mage either. SKYSAMA knows it's his time to go wide.
Yep. And a redraw, and Daria. More damage. Pretty good redraw here.
Yeah. SKYSAMA chewed through a lot of cards before he started using Daria, and it's paid off for him here, right? That is not a hand that Deviate wants to see. So 5, 9, 11, plus 2, 13. Very, very close to closing out the game.
Plus a Fate's hand that is spell boosted, so 2 more cards off the top. All we need to see is something like a Magic Missile, and the game's over.
Man. Yeah, I wonder what waiting on that Fairy Driver would have done for Deviate.
I mean, it definitely would have been able to push more, like a lot more. He still would have had the option to get rid of the board and also go for more face damage. I just know that the way he played it didn't really, it kind of locked him out of winning the game. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to take chances. Sometimes you got to let Daria hit you in the face for 9 so that you can top deck and win the game. You know what I mean? Because if you set yourself into this position, how do you actually win?
Just trying to draw for more spells.
Can't see with the spell boost if he can cast the enchanted sword. Oh, he's just going for it, so probably not.
I think he's continuing to try to roll for spells here.
Yep, just needs 1 damage. Still not there.
Oh, gosh.
He's got to redraw with the
Kaleidoscopic
Kaleidoscopic, yeah.
Glow. Well, he's got 5/9. Yeah, he still just needs 1 damage. I think he should Kaleidoscope. And Magic Missile. Oh, that's not
snipe?
going to work.
Snipe, though? I'm not sure if we've seen all 3 snipes. Oh,
Ah.
that's all right.
He
I don't
tried.
think it's going to
He
matter
tried,
too much yet. So next turn, Deviate's got to possibly come up with a win, and SKYSAMA's not even going to give him the chance. He's like, you know what? I can't kill you in 1 turn, so I'm going to play super defensively.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
You still are left with a board that is impossibly difficult to clear.
Well, it's not going to do it.
Oh, that was
That's
not
like
a
the
good
only
target.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that
the
was
only target he didn't want to hit.
Yeah, not a good target. The very left Daria and the Chimera were 2 that were not helpful, but
Yeah.
leaves 10 damage on board, which means
Still no lethal.
the search continues
Yeah.
for SKYSAMA. You know? And this time he needs to find 2 damage.
Doesn't carry anything in hand. Is Deviate. So basically just saying I lost. Once you throw all of the cards on the table, it means that Roach is off the table, combos are off the table, all that kind of business.
Yep.
SKYSAMA not playing safe this turn. I don't know why. It's not really much different than last turn. But with only 2 fairies in play, he figures 1 card off the top, how are you going to deal 8 additional damage? Not possible.
Not possible. And there it is. The Insect Lord marks the end of Deviate. Tapping out, SKYSAMA will defeat Disastrous team member, meaning that Mana Surge has 2 people who are moving on to the tournament right now.
SKYSAMA's back in it. He's back to win.
He's doing very, very well for himself. I've really enjoyed watching
And
him
he's
play
playing
this season.
super well. You know what I mean? Not taking any chances in his games, like playing the decks that he built basically to perfection. Essentially, like I built slow decks, and you know, sometimes I want to go aggro with Daria.